Welcome to another episode of OG55. This week in Disney YouTube, we are reacting to two videos, one about Avatar coming to DCA and one about Zootopia 2. We got Hey Bricky and we got the official ABC YouTube. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down this week in Disney YouTube on OG55. We got Conductor in the house. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We are reacting to two great videos today. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. A pretty DCA-heavy video, but I love me some DCA, so why not? Conductor, welcome back, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back on for this week of Disney news. I cannot wait to talk about this because Avatar is one of those things that it gets interesting every single day, it seems like, with more and more speculation. So this is going to be a great conversation.
Absolutely. And the video in particular about Avatar is the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Hey Bricky. So it's going to be a good time. But Conductor, where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can also find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1. And you can find me every Sunday at either 5 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with his wild, wicked, trademarked hair over there, and so many others as we break down Disney and Universal news. We talk speculation, we talk rumors, and a brand new live stream is happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with guests that have never been on the show. I've been on their show twice, so it's going to be a very, very awesome live stream.
There we go. There we go. And I will be debuting new hair. There was a preview of the new hair at IAPA. So new hair tech is coming. You know, it is coming. No, but in all seriousness, Conductor, thank you so much for coming on. Love talking shop with you. And everybody at home, make sure you follow, you subscribe to Conductor on YouTube and follow on all social media platforms. Like you said, I'm on there all the time. The OG55 crew is on there all the time. You won't want to miss any of the live shows and the great content that Conductor does over there. I'll be linking it down below. Speaking of great content, we got Mr. Hey Bricky. This is courtesy of his secondary channel, The Bricky of Vlog. And if you're not subscribed to Bricky Vlog, make sure you do that as well. He is also a friend of the channel, and he makes also incredible content. So now, Conductor, have you seen this one yet that he did? This one about where Avatar might go inside DCA?
I believe so, but it's been a hot minute because I kind of trade off between both his channels, Bricky Vlog and Hey Bricky, and then I also switch between David from Fresh Bake because he has like 3 or 4 channels. These guys are like YouTube titans with channels. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so this one is about where Avatar will begin inside DCA. This is actually a very interesting angle or topic, I should say, more or less, because that's really the issue that I think a lot of fans are having with Avatar going into this area is how is it going to transition between, you know, this Hollywood Boulevard and Pandora, right? So we're gonna Bricky kind of talks about it. We're gonna watch the video, break it down along the way. Before we do, anything before I get started, Conductor?
I don't remember. There was a video I did with you, I think a week ago, and I mentioned something that David pointed out about a possible new entrance into Avatar. I don't remember if Bricky covers it in this video, but if he gets to this section, if you've watched it, I don't remember if he shared it or not, but if he does get to the section, we can pause it and I'll say my 2 cents about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if Bricky doesn't mention it, we can still talk about it because
Sure.
I think Dave's theory about that secondary entrance or that alternative entrance, more or less. I think that's a very interesting theory. Is that going to happen? I don't really know, but it's an angle that I don't think a lot of fans have discussed yet. So yeah, we'll watch this video, and if Bricky doesn't bring it up, then we'll definitely talk about it for sure. Here we go.
Imagineering has kind of an impossible task ahead of them. We all know that Avatar is coming to DCA, but my question for you is, where does it officially start? Because Hollywood Boulevard at the edge has these two elephant pedestals. Elephants lived on those in the opening days. That could be where it starts. The transformation could begin right here, which would then mean that I would be walking in Avatar right now. And some Disney fans are very nervous about this. And that nervousness goes two different ways. Some people are nervous Avatar won't get enough space, and others are worried that it'll get too much space. So I thought it would be interesting to break down how much of this land.
Now, see, for me personally, in terms of Hollywoodland and in terms of like Avatar getting enough space or too much space, for me personally, and this is everyone their mileage varies, you know what I'm saying? But like for me, there's really nothing in Hollywoodland that for me is like sacred. Okay, Avatar in Animal Kingdom is peak Imagineering.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're gonna get a version of that here in this area. There's nothing in Hollywoodland that comes close to what Pandora offers. So if they want to rip the whole dang thing out, I'm cool with it. Now, I understand that's not necessarily like a very popular opinion, because a lot of fans do want the Hyperion. A lot of fans do want to keep the animation building and other elements of this area. And I totally respect that. But for me personally, Hollywoodland is very expendable. But what say you in terms of like how much Avatar encroaches in this area?
Well, see, here's my 2 cents on it. Is the way I look at it is the Hollywood theming in these theme parks minus Universal Hollywood, it's died out. You know, there's no relevance to it. And when you walk down Hollywood Boulevard in DCA, you're looking at buildings that have a false facade that offer no, type of guessing. Well, they're trying to immerse you by walking. Oh, look, I'm in Hollywood. Well, it's again, if I had to choose between keeping this or bringing Avatar, which is bringing in billions of dollars for the Walt Disney Company, and like you said, the one in Animal Kingdom is just absolutely breathtaking. And the only disgrace to that land is we can't see it at night because the park closes early.
Right.
We have an opportunity to have a mass, like a big, huge version of Avatar and have it come to life at night, which we've all wanted.
Right.
That Animal Kingdom can't offer. So I couldn't agree with you more. This Hollywood Boulevard and the facades and the animation building and PhilharMagic, it was great for how it lasted.
Yeah.
But I think its time is up.
I agree with you. And I know there's a lot of fans that disagree, and that's completely cool. I just personally, I feel it's more important to get Pandora right than to save stuff that isn't really working right now. Like a lot of the Hollywoodland stuff isn't really working. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Actually sits inside of the future expansion zone. Could the whole front of Hollywood Boulevard be where it starts? Or does it start right here or right here? Like, where does this transformation begin? That's what we're going to talk about today. How much of this street should go away? How much of it should stay? And what are the consequences on either one of those decisions that they make? And I don't have the answer. I want to lay it out to you as a designer in option A, option B, and ultimately let you decide. Where would you make Avatar begin and end? So one of the things that makes this street, Hollywood Boulevard, so essential to DCA's layout is it basically is an extension of the main street that we come in on, Buena Vista Street. From a design perspective, it helps carry the narration and push you forward, creating a transformative experience that reminds you that you are indeed inside of Disney California Adventure. The Disney version of an adventure in 1901,
Now, here's the thing. He's right about that. And that's a fair point. And also, it is the parade route, from what I
It
understand,
is.
part of the parade route. So that's a concern, obviously. Like, we were talking a little bit ago about Pandora taking over the whole thing. Well, if Pandora takes over the whole thing, that's going to be an issue with parades, big time. They'd have to reroute it or get rid of parades. So yeah, I mean that's a big concern, and maybe that's why we're hearing that they're not going to do that. Maybe that's why we're hearing it's going to just go into that side area where Monsters is because of this parade route situation. I don't know, but that's a great point that Bricky brings up here.
1923 California when Walt Disney showed up. So if all of this were to get cleared, would it A, get you into the adventure faster, or B, make it feel very abrupt? But then on the other side of this debate, we all know how great Imagineering does when they have wide open space. Is all of this a constraint that's worth holding them back? Is it worth saving, or is it worth just pushing forward? So first, let's look at the argument of just clearing all of this out. So the number one argument right out of the top, more space gives Disney and Imagineering a better opportunity to make a much more in-depth and transformative experience. There are a lot of people that think that it's not big enough to do a full Avatar Pandora. This would obviously give them more space. When we all see what Disney was able to do with a blank slate for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the transformation was magical. Same thing for what we saw built at Disney's Animal Kingdom. I mean, that was just literally blank space. They expanded the park to make Pandora, and the results is absolutely breathtaking. It doesn't take a genius to realize more space, better transformation. And currently, these facades do take up a lot of space, and I don't think that there's a lot of things in here that people are emotionally connected to. Sure, people love the animation studio, and they also enjoy Off the Page. Off the Page could find another home. Animation, that one would definitely be a loss. So if we're talking about an enormous amount of space,
I agree with Bricky on that. I actually do. I actually like the animation building more than I like Hyperion.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I feel like animation building offers consistency, obviously, because it's always available. And I feel like the Hyperion doesn't. We haven't had a show in the Hyperion for a real long time. And it's just my opinion, but like, I just feel like the facade for the Hyperion is hideous. And I've always felt that way since DCA opened. The fake sky, the metal backdrops and the whole thing. It's pretty unsightly. And if you're not gonna, if Disney's not going to spend the money to put anything inside of it, it's an eyesore with no purpose. But the animation building has a purpose, and that's actually a gorgeous building when you get inside.
It is. So my thing is, he was kind of referencing the left side where PhilharMagic is. So this is my thinking, and you have it paused at a perfect spot. What if the left side where PhilharMagic is, all the way down, all those buildings get annexed and just demoed to the ground? What if they do that? They shorten the street a little bit more to the right, and they keep Off the Page, all that on the right-hand side. They build the world of Avatar, Pandora. Once they build it, everything on this left side that's part of Pandora, they can rebuild the facades to still make it Hollywood Boulevard, but it's not, the street is not as wide as what you're showing on screen right now, but it's still compliant with ADA compliance, because obviously you can't make it too narrow. But if they move these buildings another, I don't know, what do you think, another 10 feet, maybe 15 feet forward? Because my only gripe about this is I don't want to see what happened with Super Nintendo World at Universal, where you see the back metal structure or skeleton of the land and it has no 360 theming around it. So you see the backside of it.
Yeah. And that's the issue with this, because from what we know, Pandora's going into this area, this Hollywood studio area.
Sure.
Right. So if they get rid of the facades on this left side, so then you have like Pandora on one side of the road and you have Hollywood on the other side of the road. It makes for a weird sort of
It
street,
does.
right? And so,
It
but
does.
so then you'd have to put the facades on the Pandora side, but then it comes up to what you're saying, where it's like now you see the back side of the facades in Pandora or something weird like that, right?
Yeah. So again, it's a tricky thing because, like you said, the animation building is absolutely breathtaking when you go inside. It's something where there's a lot to do, and it's kind of a safe haven during the summer because everyone goes in there and kind of just cools off because they have the air on. It's nice. You kind of get away from the chaos a little bit, even though there's about 800 people in there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, from Google Maps, though, if they did decide to annex that building, and let's say it's not really for Pandora, but it might be for Avengers Campus, that building's pretty sizable. You know what I mean? So it's also a possibility. Because again, this Hollywood Boulevard, from what I remember, this is from the 1.0. These facades are kind of left over from the 1.0 version of DCA. So it's been around for forever. So
yeah, it's an interesting dilemma that they're in, and we don't really know. And I've said this so many times, but not everyone watches every video, so I like to kind of repeat myself sometimes. But like, we also don't know what these next couple movies are really going to bring about, right?
Yeah.
So we do know from Josh Giamaro that this land is based on the next 2 or 3 Avatar films. Well, Fire and Ash is a big mystery. The next one after that is even a bigger mystery. Like, there might be some sort of thing that we're not aware of. Maybe Hollywoodland, maybe these structures stay, but maybe they're redressed into something else that fits Pandora's the next couple movie storyline. Maybe these get transformed into, like, I have no idea, like more military style buildings or something. I don't know. I mean, that's a possibility too, where the buildings themselves stay, but they don't keep the Hollywood theme. You know what I'm saying? They're redressed into something else to kind of segue you into Pandora. It doesn't necessarily just because they're not bulldozing at all doesn't mean it's going to stay Hollywood either, though, right? So that's another interesting thing.
But see, like Bricky was saying, though, even with the fake facades, they take up room.
They do. No, 100%.
So it's almost like you're constrained to the point. Okay, do you want to bring the world to Avatar, or do you want to shortcut it?
Right.
And the only way to do that is to annex buildings, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, it's a huge dilemma for them. I'm really surprised they're going this route when they have Simba. They must have a plan for some. I don't know. It's crazy though.
That no one's emotionally connected to kind of sounds like a win, right? So one could make an argument. Do we really need to keep a bunch of buildings that are all designed to mimic a city that's just about, 30 miles from here? Does all of this add an emotional value that makes it worth preserving? Or is it best just to move as quickly as possible into a new guest experience that will take people someplace that is truly transformable, something that they can't find just up the road or really anywhere on planet Earth? When you look at it that way, you start to wonder, is all of this really worth fighting for? Because at the end of the day, Disney is in the business of selling theme park tickets. And what sells theme park tickets? Attractions. Only so many weirdos like me come to a theme park looking for facades and transitions and storytelling. Most people want to get involved in the rides. So clearing all of this out does create more space and potentially makes the Avatar experience include more than just one single attraction. And if you do decide to keep all of this, how much space do you need to create so that it's not so awkward that in Hollywood 1 second, in Pandora the next?
True.
There needs to be a gradient or transition space between the two different areas. So just by virtue of keeping them means that you also have to keep an additional space to go from idea 1 to idea 2. Perfect example of this idea is the space that we see outside of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge entryways. There's just a natural transition point that resets your brain, resets your expectations, so you can fully go from one story to the next without it feeling jarring. And although Cars Land is a really great single IP land, it kind of sits in an island with a lot around it. So you never can totally get lost in Cars Land unless you go around the top point where Flo's Cafe is. But if this all goes away, DCA could have its first shot at a truly, fully immersive land. I mean, one that is unlike anything that this park possesses. So are they looking to up the game of DCA and put it on par with the competitor right across the Esplanade Disneyland? This would give it that opportunity, or at least a fighting chance to make something that is finally a must-see land.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love that Bricky brought that up. That's one of the things that has been one of my biggest gripes when it comes to Disney and DCA. For whatever reason, Disney seems to love to kind of phone it in when it comes to DCA. Not all the time. I think 2012 was amazing. I think, Cars Land and Buena Vista Street, all that was amazing. But by and large, DCA has a history of Disney sort of phoning it in and kind of half-assing it, right? Which I think is really kind of stupid from even a business perspective. Because when you have people coming to the Disneyland Resort, Disneyland is a given. When you go to Disneyland Resort, you're going to go to Disneyland no matter what. It doesn't matter. That's the park you're always going to go to. It's DCA that's expendable. So if you can make DCA a must-go-to park, you guarantee the park hopper ticket. You guarantee people go to both parks, because you're not going to come from Utah or Michigan to come to DCA and not go to Disneyland. But you could come and only do Disneyland, right? So if you make Disneyland a go-to park as well, you guarantee both are locked in. Disney, for some reason, doesn't understand that, or they don't care. And they've really kind of half-assed this park in a lot of ways, and it's frustrating. So to Bricky's point, let's bring it up to par with Disneyland. Let's make it a true competitor, even though they're technically not really competing, but like a true competitor or a complementary sister park to Disneyland. And it sits only feet away from Disneyland. Like, there should be more of an urgency on Disney's part to make this park more like Disneyland in terms of quality. And I just haven't really seen it over the last 20 some odd years. But what say you, Conductor?
Well, see, you make an excellent point, because I've said it time and time again on my channel, and that's going to be one of the topics I'm going to talk about with my guests tomorrow night. Is, what is Disney, the Walt Disney Company, what are they trying to prioritize? And the biggest problem I see is, what I got out of D23 is, okay, well, this is what we're doing as a company. We are building 6 more cruise ships, even though we have like 12 or 13, whatever it is. Then we're sitting there ripping apart, Animal Kingdom to put in Kanto and all this other stuff, which don't get me wrong, that's amazing.
Right.
Do not get me wrong. Then you have, Tom Sawyer's Island and Magic Kingdom they're ripping apart to put in Cars Land. It's like, okay, well, I kind of sort of understand it to a point, because it's already too late to go backwards, because they already destroyed it. But my whole thing is, and I've been saying this since 2019, because think about it, when one of the biggest sports venues comes to a state inside the United States, and I'm talking about the Olympics, for 2 weeks, that draw in so much international crowds, and it draws in even domestic crowds as well into that state to experience the Olympics that come every 20 plus years. If you think about it, if Disney knew, or not, well, if California knew back in 2019, maybe even a tad earlier, that they were getting the Olympics, and obviously Disney would not be out of that loop, they would know something. If that was the case, I'm just speculating, I couldn't agree with you more. why was DCA and the Disneyland Resort dragging their feet on projects that we're barely starting to see now? Why were they not on the city council to approve Disneyland Forward? Because obviously that wasn't drummed up overnight. That took months, if not years, to draw up and then plan and scout and permit and all this other stuff and even survey. If they knew something like the Olympics were coming in 2028 back in 2019, think about that. That was what, 5.5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. Think about what the company couldn't have accomplished between Disneyland and the Wicked Stepchild of Disneyland, DCA. Think about it. The Eastern Gateway wouldn't have been done. The 2 Avengers attractions wouldn't have been done. Possibly the World of Avatar couldn't have been, either a quarter away or halfway done. If they knew it, I'm just saying, if they knew it back in 2019, which I have a funny suspicion they did.
Well, Disney loves to drag their feet. They do. And they do that. Yeah, it's by design for sure, because they want to spread these projects out over multiple fiscal periods. Universal has a very different approach to it. It's a business strategy. Universal builds this stuff and gets it open. Disney likes to just completely drag their feet. I mean, even the first Pandora took forever. I think the first Pandora was announced in like 2011, and it didn't open until what, like 2017 or something crazy. So yeah, it's wild. It's wild, conductor.
Inside of DCA. So ultimately, if you're Disney, it comes down to, what is your goal here? To preserve the nostalgia, keep it all one fluid storytelling device, or are you going for scale? Are you trying to make something that makes this park truly competitive with Disneyland right across the Esplanade? As far as I can tell, that's what the real goal here is. And I think erasing everything here gives them the best shot at achieving that goal. And imagine for a moment, no matter where you're at with this debate, going right past the elephant pedestals and then instantly transforming where you're walking through a jungle and suddenly you hear those signature noises, you start to see rock work, you hear water, and you are long gone from being in a California adventure. And Anna, what? You no longer know where you're at.
And here's the thing too: if they do this approach where that Bricky's talking about, where it's just all of it goes to Pandora, right? They can utilize something similar to what they do with Grizzly Peak, that Grizzly Peak area. When you go down Buena Vista Street and you hang a right, you make a right and you go into there's nature, but there's buildings too. There you got the Smoke Jumpers Grill, you have the Soren building, you got the gift shop on the left-hand side. So there's structures. It's not all just trees. So it kind of segues you from that Buena Vista Street into that Grizzly Peak area. Theoretically, you can do the same thing on the other side. You can have buildings in the entryway to Pandora, whether it be military kind of style or something, that kind of segue you into that more natural beauty. I mean, they literally do it on the other side of Buena Vista Street. Theoretically, they could do that. My only concern, and I support that overall. I think it would be the cleanest way to do this. My only issue, though, is that parade route. Because how do you maintain the parade route unless they want to have a parade go through Pandora, which would be kind of weird, but I don't know. It would
be weird.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the best way you can look at it, because you got what Bricky called the elephant pedestals.
Right.
If you go through that, and then literally, I would say not even 5-10 feet, maybe 15 feet, depending on the clearance issue, you kind of annex everything on that left-hand side. You get rid of all that stuff. And you kind of build this archway to go into the world of Avatar. But you do keep the road for the parades. But it's still a road, but literally right when you pass the elephant pedestals and you walk about 10 to 20 feet and you hang a left, that's the tunnel you walk into, and then now you're in the world of Avatar. so
Right.
they can still keep that road. It's just, you know, again, it's pure speculation how they're going to do this, because the fact that we are now almost we're a month and some change away from 2026, and
Yeah.
they still to this very minute cannot call it a land, and they keep calling it an experience. And the fact that you made an excellent point that Disney has a history of cheaping out at DCA minus Cars Land
Yeah.
and a little bit of Avatar, or I mean Avengers. That's what scares me right there, that they can't even to this minute even confirm that it's a land, but yet we're seeing the newest and latest greatest episode from Walt Disney Imagineering YouTube showing us a Olaf character that's going in an international park. So
Well,
it's
no,
like,
no, you're right on that, and that's what worries me. If this land was going into Disneyland, I would have no concern at all. I would be very, very comfortable with the idea of that, because I know the Imagineers and I know Disney will take the time to integrate it perfectly into Disneyland. We've seen it with Galaxy's Edge, you know?
Well, see, here's the funny part about that. If it was going to Disneyland, you would have a army plus times 10 of brickies walking through there saying, hey, if you're going to destroy stuff that originally Walt might have not touched,
Right.
to put an IP like this, we are going to hold you to the fire if you screw up even one little ounce of a little bit. DCA kind of gets that pass because everyone's like, DCA is just a doll park. Who cares? Walt had nothing to do with that. So
it's 100%. You're right. You're right. The fans, by and large, us fans, we do hold Disneyland to a higher standard, and that might be why Disney does kind of make sure they cross their T's and dot their I's with that park. DCA, I see it. I see it. There's not that emotional connection with fandom.
No.
It's not the Walt Park, you know. Now, personally, for me, I see it as the same kind of, because
sure,
it sits so close to Disneyland that it almost doesn't matter that it's a different park technically, because for me, you're just feet away from Walt's park. So it's like having a beautiful home, but then like not taking care of the front yard. Like it, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to, like the yard matters too. So for me, it matters. But I do know you're right, conductor. I think most fans they're way more forgiving with DCA. You know, so yeah, it's wild.
That is absolutely possible if the land starts there and then ends right over where the Hyperion is. Could be their best shot at making something that truly competes with what they've already done on the East Coast, which is rough because they've already set the bar so high. But let's talk about if this doesn't happen, because I can also make a strong design argument for keeping all of this and having Avatar start in the buildings right behind us. Hollywood Boulevard does create a very easy and soft transition into the rest of the park. It extends the beginning of the park, therefore carrying out the story. And it's kind of the moment that brands DCA. Whether you like that or not, it's what it's doing design-wise. And so the problem with cutting this short, and you maybe have never thought about this, is it starts to create a visual identity crisis of what exactly is this park about? What am I doing here? And what are my expectations? All of those answers are clearly defined right across the Esplanade of Disneyland. Disneyland knows who it is, what its purpose is, and how it's there to serve you. Removing all of this and just throwing people straight into a jungle right when they go past Carthay Circle does definitely create a moment of like, WTF. So if this does stay, it just makes it a little bit easier to get to your final destination, and it also will help with traffic flow. And most importantly, removing this takes away the ability to do parades and community events.
Right.
Part of what I love about DCA is when they do things like Ducks Day. I don't think they're going to take the ducks through a space jungle. I think the ducks are going to go down Hollywood Boulevard if they keep showing up. So the purpose of the street behind me as a design piece is to really transition you into what comes next. It's not exactly important what it is, but how it creates a spatial relationship.
And I just want to say, like, nobody does it like Bricky. Like,
no.
This man, the way he does his content, and because he's nerdy like we are, you know what I'm saying? He's nerdy, and he goes in there, he's walking through every corner of these lands. He's doing perimeter searches for Disneyland Forward. He's walking down harbor and doing all this stuff. It's amazing. Like I just want to say that like this stuff is like right up a nerd's alley. Like this is why we react to Bricky so much, because he just gets your creative juices flowing and gets the conversation started. And it's fun, dude. It's just a lot of fun. So I just want to bring that up.
To what you really came here for. The themed land, the themed attraction. That's the real idea of Hollywood Boulevard and how it works on a grander design goal and scale. You lose that ability, and you're just kind of shoving people into the next thing. So there's literally no doubt that this transition right here, this one could blend in really, really well. But the transition over by Carthay Circle, that's going to be rough. Now, there is a more bizarre play where they work on all of those facades and make it look a little bit apocalyptic and kind of slowly transition you into a Pandora where it's all rusted and kind of burnt out. But
Yeah.
I feel like that would be very depressing. And I think in these times of where everything's at, I don't think Disney wants to project LA post-apocalypse. I don't think that's the goal. And even though you may not be aware of this, architecture is a language that we all speak. It informs us of exactly where we're at, what the mood or the vibe or the timeline is around us, and therefore it sets up expectations. When you remove that and people can't really figure out what's going on or establish expectations, suddenly the story that you're trying to tell gets lost because it doesn't have an introduction, it doesn't have an act one. You're just sort of like, wait a minute.
Now one thing I want to go back a little bit here, because technically from what we understand, like from the information we have, this is where Pandora is going to start, where this Hollywood studio sign is.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think, Conductor? Because we've seen this with Universal, where with Epic Universe, it's a portal. It's just a big tunnel, and you walk in, and you come out the other end, and you're in this crazy world. Is there a scenario, a possibility that that's what we get? We go down Hollywood, and there's a big tunnel that says the world of Avatar, and you walk under it, and boom, there you are. Do you think it's going to be that like jarring, or do you think they're going to put a little more into it where it's a little bit more like the subtle sort? Like, for example, two perfect examples of what I'm talking about. The jarring entrance is Hollywood Studios in Florida. Their entrance into Galaxy's Edge is just like a freeway overpass, basically, that you go under and then you're in Galaxy's Edge. It's crazy. But here in California, you got to go through the trees, and it gradually works you into it. So are they going to go more Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, where they kind of gradually work you into it? Or are they just going to put some LA overpass here or some Epic Universe portal and you just walk right in? What do you think they're going to do?
So this is my personal opinion. I think it would be more of an insult to build the entrance as a freeway overpass, as you're calling it. I think it would be better if they could build it as what Galaxy's Edge is. Again, it's kind of hard to do so when you have all these buildings that line up Hollywood Boulevard. Because again, you have that kinetic energy where you have parades going up and down the street. You have shops, up and down the street. How do you transition this? And it's kind of hard. It's so, and I think at this point, Pandora, Avatar deserves that right to have what Galaxy's Edge has, that transition point where it makes sense, not something where it's just slapped in because they couldn't figure out what to do. And this is what scares me, because when you look at, and perfect example of mine is Tomorrowland, and Bricky did a video on that. The reason why they can't touch Tomorrowland is because they don't know what to do with it. They interlocked so many things together. The only way to fix it is literally to level the entire land and start from scratch. That's literally the only way they could fix it. Because if they try to, sorry to say this, but if they try to start putting lipstick on a pig every so often in that area, it's not going to look right. So this is the same situation here. It's like, okay, well, you have Hollywood Boulevard, you have you have parades going up and down the street, but yet you want to immerse people to the point where they feel like they're walking into the world of Avatar and not a freeway, off ramp to sit there and go into the world of Avatar, and literally 5 feet behind me is Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
So
I mean, no, I completely agree with you. And another thing they could possibly do is they could sort of, you have Hollywood Boulevard, and maybe like where Smoothies is, maybe they redress that whole building with, with like Fox Studios or something. And it's like this, that's the transition. It's Fox Studios, and then that makes sense going into Avatar. We'll see how it all shakes out. I really hope we get some information on this. This is the stuff that I really want. I want Josh D'Amaro to come out and say, hey fans, this isn't really mainstream stuff. Like the normies don't give a shit about any of this, what we're talking about. No. But you, me, Bricky, like all OGVD5's audience, your audience, we eat this stuff up, man. I want to see Disney tell us how are they going to work this, But,
now, see, this is what I find interesting, because you have it perfectly aligned. If you look at Smoothies right there, what if they kind of just kept continuing with the Hollywood theming, and they built like a wall, so more fake facades that kind of enclose this gap right here where the Hollywood Studios arches, and they just keep going where it's like a giant wall, and it's facades. So it would look like the rest, but it literally starts right in front of this right-hand column of Smoothies and goes literally adjacent, across the way to the other building and connect. So it's one big long stretch of Hollywood Boulevard, and everything behind Smoothies and that facade wall of Hollywood Boulevard gets annexed. Everything.
Yeah, no, it's possible. And real quick, while we're talking about the possibilities here with this kind of stuff,
sure.
Dave, you said Dave from Fresh Baked had an idea. If you got rid of the city hall when you walk into Buena Vista Street, you can create a Pandora entrance there and enter from that. And then this could all be walled off. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, like, say, for example, this could all be walled off, like you were saying, and you can't enter Pandora from here. Nope. But you enter from the Buena Vista Street, like through the city hall. Like, that's a possibility. Look, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But I mean, I think that's an interesting take that he brought to the table, because a lot of us aren't considering. A lot of us are considering this route, but this might not even be an entrance to it. It could be Buena Vista Street, right?
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking. The only thing that I would say that would be challenging is because you have the entrance and exit gates right there, and it's so close,
right?
And you would have to make that. You would have to, Disney would have to train cast members to purposely make sure, if people go in that way, they go in that way. They don't come back out, because then that would just be a nightmare. But on the other hand, having it where the city hall is, I don't know if you could bring up Google Maps, but right where city hall is, if you build the entrance of Avatar right there, it kind of hides it away. It's not over daunting, and it kind of gives you that immersive experience where you're walking into almost kind of like a secret world that shouldn't exist. And that's kind of what Avatar is, at least in my mind. So I think that would be brilliant. Because that big soundstage that's right there, that used to be the Avengers Superstore, once you annex that building, oh my gosh, you have so much room. And then eventually, sorry to say it, I do honestly feel that PhilharMagic will probably go away. I think them updating the projectors, I know Bricky, said they updated it, they did update it, they reopened it. I think that was a Band-Aid. I think that building will go away.
Well, here's what Dave was talking about, right? With the
Yeah.
here's the city hall building, right? This is
Yep.
Oswald's. So it's like the city hall, and there's Oswald's gas station. So and here's the entrance, and this
Yeah.
is what you were saying the issue might be when you walk in or you exit. The entrance to Pandora would be right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, what if? Because look at that empties out. Well, there is a service road though. That's the problem. There is a service road here.
You,
That could be a
so
big, yeah.
so you can't. You could build a bridge though. You could theme that bridge. You can enclose the entire bridge where it's immersive, so it kind of hides all that. It's kind of this day and age when you look at Universal Creative, you look at Walt Disney Imagineering, technology and the ability to hide things have come a long way from 1955.
Oh yeah,
It really has. And one of the examples that just pops in my mind is when you look at the Hogwarts Express at Universal Orlando. When you look at that and you're riding it, they purposely put in interactive windows into that train transport ride so you don't see all the backstage stuff. This would be the same purpose if they built a little bridge that goes over the service road so the service road could still be there. Obviously the service road is probably going to be relocated because obviously the world or Pandora is going to go into at least half, if not three-quarters of the bus load and unload area.
That's a great point. That's a great point because the road goes back here too, and this is going to be Pandora.
Yeah. So see, that's perfect. So you don't even need to do a bridge then at that point.
Yeah,
You can just make it completely immersive. So I think personally, if people are that gung-ho about Hollywood Boulevard, which is fine, I'm totally for it.
Yeah.
But if people want to keep Hollywood Boulevard until they come up with something better, then why not, sacrifice, sorry to say, Oswald's little gas station, annex that and make that the entrance to the world of Avatar?
I mean, hey, I love new possibilities, and that's a possibility I never really considered. Is it going to happen? Probably not, maybe not. I don't really know, but it's an interesting way to approach this. Real quick before we continue with Bricky, this is a lot of space. So this is the bus load unload area. It's a sizable area. Now, part of that will be like this part right here, the top half will be the Eastern Gateway. But this is still a good piece of land, and that includes all of this too. And this is what I've been saying for a long time, where these are the Mike and Sully building and this building here, the stage, whatever it's called, and this Hollywood and Dine. These are significant size buildings. I think that when they start bulldozing all this area is going to look a lot bigger than it seems right now. Right now, it's full of a bunch of sound stages, so it looks really tiny, but it's really a pretty good sized piece of land.
Oh no, 100%. You actually have the map up. So I wanted to go over something because if you look on the top right corner where Best Western Plus Park Place Inn is, you have that little gap in between right there. What if, because that's where the pedestrian bridge supposedly is going to come from the Eastern Gateway, what if it goes across harbor, which it's planning to, but it kind of goes up to where this top circle is across the way here next to the monorail track, and then kind of curves back in and kind of, you have the bridge kind of really close, but not close enough, but close enough to the monorail track, and that leads into the Esplanade. Think about that. If they did it like that, that would even give Pandora even more room.
There's creative ways that they can kind of work this. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah, and this, you're right. This is where the Eastern Gateway is going to go. So it's fascinating.
So who knows? Really, who honestly knows? Again, it's something that's exciting in a way, but then it's not exciting because it's taking so long. Because again, we've discussed it. The Walt Disney Company, they don't think like Comcast. They like to sprawl things out. They like to, put it in per quarter, financially, which, they might think they're benefiting off of that, which they probably are. But in all reality, is the guest experience, are they benefiting from it? Because we're talking years, if not almost 10 years until this stuff is built. And that's something I have a concern with.
Yeah.
You know, charging the money they charge for what?
Well, and
That's what
yeah,
I'm concerned about.
you're right. You're right. I was just talking to a buddy of mine recently where like I go to the park and I'm a vibes guy anyway. I
Oh,
don't really
sure.
go on rides and I fully admit that. I enjoy the vibes, you know, but I'm even more of a vibes guy now than ever before
Yeah.
because I've grown up at Disneyland my whole life. I've been an annual pass holder since 2002. So
Wow.
yeah, it's been a long time. So it's like I go there and it's like, okay, do I want to ride Pirates for the 9,000th time? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? It just seems all very redundant. And for me, the vibes and the atmosphere is like the most like satisfying element of the
Sure.
whole thing right now. Because the rides, I've been on all of them so many times. Like now, I will become more of a rides guy when we get some new stuff, like when Pandora opens and Coco opens and the Avengers ride opens. Then I'm more into the rides. But right now, we haven't really gotten anything new in a really long time. I mean, we've gotten Tiana's, but even that is now over a year old, and that's just kind of like a retheme of an existing attraction.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time. So for me, it's like I get there and I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just kind of chill, eat, walk around, hang out. You know, I don't need to go on Pirates again for the 900 time. Now, people that don't go as often, obviously, are going to feel differently. You know what I'm saying? So everyone has their mileage varies, right?
Oh,
Our
definitely.
our good friend Candid Camper, you know, he lives a significant distance up north in northern Cali, and he brings the whole family down with his kids and the whole thing. So of course, when he comes down here, you're going to want to do rides. You know, his situation is different. You know what I'm saying? Than someone who like, you know, like you or I that live in the area and we're here all the time. So everyone's situation is different. But yeah, for me personally, I mean, right now there's nothing new, and they're charging an arm and a leg still. It's crazy,
Oh,
conductor. It's
I know.
crazy.
Day. It is kind of part of the opening mindset and psychology of how DCA was meant to work. It may not be for you, but I'm telling you right now, if it were removed, you would definitely feel like, man, something is missing. This feels off. It's kind of the best part about a lot of design. You don't notice it. It's just there in the background guiding you through life. That's when design is its most powerful, when it's invisible. So retheming it could be controversial, confusing, and a little emotionally upsetting. Removing it entirely could be very jarring and not set up the proper signals to allow people to navigate the park in the way that you would traditionally do it. Maybe the happy medium is that everything over here goes away and then everything over here stays, right? Like giving you a little bit more Buena Vista, kind of taking you up to this moment right here, and then this is where you're fully in Avatar. So they can do that nice transition on the other side, but it's not so abrupt coming in the park. Maybe the half step is the proper placement. But I don't know. I want to hear what you have to say. I think for many guests, they don't want Disney to erase every piece of its history for Disney to feel like it's moving forward. So many people do love looking at different little pieces of the park and being like, oh, that's a call back to this timeline. Disneyland very much honors all of the different chapters that it's experienced over 70 years. DCA has a moment in time to preserve and honor its legacy or just completely erase it. And by erasing it, they're setting a bad tone that this place isn't special. It doesn't have a history. It doesn't have something that you can grip onto. It's just literally here as a fun thing, not a serious thing or an emotional thing like Disneyland. Disneyland has preserved itself into the actual fiber of our society and culture. DCA wants to go the long haul. It needs to kind of think about where is its place in this timeline. Is it ambiguous without history? Does it not matter? Should you not care because they don't care? Will it just simply always get a wrecking ball and get torn down into whatever they think the next future 10 years deserves? You see, people care about Disneyland because Walt cared about Disneyland. People care about Disneyland because Disney cares about Disneyland. So DCA has a decision to make. Does it celebrate its past or does it look past it and erase it and move forward? This is kind of a big debate that they have to make. And like I said, Imagineering has a really difficult task ahead. where do you start Avatar and where do you give up on whatever legacy or history DCA is trying to establish for itself? Not an easy decision. And yes, I am purposely staying away from talking about removing the Hyperion Theater or the animation studio, just because like I don't want to like guide you in one direction or another. I just like top level, what's your thought? Leave it or replace it, you know? I'm just fascinated. And that's why I would love to hear what your decision is. Where would you start Avatar? Where would you end it? How much of this do you want to keep? And how much of it do you feel is totally disposable?
Yeah, it's a great conversation. And this is another fantastic video by Bricky. And it's weird because I'm really open to a lot of different ideas. That's why I wish I knew where like Disney's head was at with this whole thing. And we don't have a lot of information, you know, like I said before, and I say it all the time, but we don't know what's in these upcoming movies that this land is even based on. So it's really hard to even kind of predict, because there could be some sort of thing that makes sense with all this that we're not aware of right now because we haven't seen the movie, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Now, in terms of preserving DCA's history, the issue though, I think with DCA, I think it's starting to create icons and areas and attractions that are now irreplaceable, right? So you have things like Cars Land, which will always be part of DCA, right? You have things like Buena Vista Street, like the main street when you first walk in, which I think will always be part of DCA as well, along with the Carthay Circle. There's a lot of things that Disney has done to DCA since its opening that I think has become iconic and does have some emotion attached to it with fandom. I think the issue, though, with a lot of this stuff, like the Hollywood stuff, is it's that first DCA 1.0 iteration that didn't have any emotional people. When this park opened, they're really, fans didn't really like it. And so it's like the weakest stuff, kind of like this is kind of weak, you know, I mean, by and large, and even like, of most of the stuff I feel like that opened with DCA was kind of weak, except for like Soarin', I guess. But like, so that's why I'm kind of like, do we keep it because it's part of its history, or do we take DCA to the next level and sort of bring it to what Disneyland is? Because I do feel there are elements of DCA right now that are irreplaceable. I just don't know if the 1.0 version and the elements within that first version of DCA are things worth keeping, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Bricky makes a great argument. I never even thought about that. He makes a great argument, but I don't know. I'm torn on it. I'm kind of torn on it. What say you, Conductor?
See, I'm kind of torn as well, because when we look at what Bricky's showing in the video with all the different facades of Hollywood Boulevard, it makes me wonder why put something like Avatar and try to shoehorn it into the Hollywood backlot and not just admit guilt and say, you know what, we're gonna build it in the Simba parking lot. Because when you look at concept art of the pedestrian bridge going over harbor, and you look at the back end of what supposedly is going to be Avatar, there's no significant, you know, guaranteed fact that Avatar is going to be there. Because when you look at, and a friend brought this up to me, when you look at that concept art and you look at the back end of what Avatar is supposed to be, it looks like another Hyperion building. We can't tell from that concept art if it's Pandora or it might be a different IP altogether in that Hollywood backlot, which personally for me, this is where I stand with it. If they can't figure out what to do with Hollywood Boulevard, and they can't, you know, get creative on how to enter the world of Avatar, and they don't want to erase the 1.0, you know, timeline with DCA, why not put the world of Avatar in the Simba parking lot? And if you want to fit that Hollywood IP, what's coming out pretty soon? Zootopia 2, or that's leading into our next topic. Zootopia 2, they can kind of tie in Zootopia 1 that has that kind of landscape Hollywood inner city vibe to it and incorporate that. So you're not losing any type of, Hollywood theming to it, because now you're going from Hollywood Boulevard into a animation type
City.
Hollywood land. Yeah, city.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah. Oh yeah. We've talked about that so many times on the channel, and I agree with you. I think Zootopia would have been a perfect replacement for Hollywoodland because you maintain everything Bricky's talking about with this kind of like this cityscape that you're walking through, you're moving through it, but it would just be Zootopia, and you can have the characters in the windows like you do in Shanghai. You have the Hyperion, which you can turn into like the Zootopia theater. You can have Zootopia stage show in there. It really would be the perfect situation. Now, I think, oh yeah, it would be perfect. The only thing is I do believe I'm like 98% certain that Disney though has already stated that they're removing Monsters Inc. to make way for Avatar. I think they've already said it. So unless they change their mind, and they might, but I just don't think I don't think they will. But I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
see, that's why us as content creators, we try to kind of play this mind game and try to figure this out, because Disney does not like to share these type of things. And now all of a sudden in the last year or so, they came out with this YouTube channel. They're showing us all the stuff they never wanted to show the public. So I'm glad for that. But in all reality, it's kind of concerning. It's like, okay, well, can you confirm it's Avatar? Just because you say it's Avatar, it's not confirming it. Then on the other hand, you can't even confirm it's a land. It's like you're calling it an experience, and an experience to me is taking a vacant building that's in there doing nothing and throwing an IP in there and saying, look, here's the experience.
yeah.
That's not guaranteeing me that we're going to get a land, we're going to get a ride, just because we saw this little 3D model at D23. And shout out to you for, covering that, and others on our space. It doesn't guarantee it though. Again, it's just like, I don't know. I'm kind of lost at words.
Yeah.
Because we're talking at least, and we talked about this on one of your previous videos. By the time they rip Monsters Inc. out, after they gut it and strip all the IP, all the animatronics, all the facades they want to use, possibly for Monstropolis and Hollywood Studios in Orlando, then you rip the building down, then you rip everything else down. They're not even going to start with the world of Avatar until the 2 attractions in Avengers is done, or close to being done, and the Eastern Gateway, which is minimum going to take 24 to 36 months to build. Then you got the bridge that's probably going to take another almost 24 months to build. And then on top of that, you're talking about just a logistical nightmare for probably up to 72 months, because now you have to close a security zone
Right.
that gets guests into the resort to build all this. So now you're talking about that. And then meanwhile, what is Disney doing for the guest experience to kind of say, hey, we know we're making it a little more difficult to get into our resort because all this construction, we're kind of, sorry to say, ruining the magic and the immersion, but we're also at the same time bringing new experiences to life at the same time.
Yeah.
What are we doing to kind of win your business when we got our competitor 50 miles away that's building a brand new roller coaster, 2 on-site hotels, or at least 1 for sure, retransforming their city walk, and then already looking at expansion slots, because we're seeing it, on the studio tour where the Bates Motel and all that is. And shout out to Theme Park Wizard for that, for being on top of those permits. And then you got everything else that's going on.
Yeah, and real quick before we move on to our next video, you're right. Well, big shout out to Wizard. We love Wizard. But I was at Universal today for a few hours, and they were testing the Fast and Furious roller coaster. I'm not a coaster guy. I make no bones about it. I don't really. I'm not a thrill seeker, but that coaster looks really cool, and that's going to add a ton of kinetic energy to that park, which is amazing. It's fun watching that thing go around. And for thrill seekers, it's going to be incredible. Here's the thing too with City Walk, they are making all the right moves when it comes to City Walk. Raising Cane's, I think, is opening soon. That's a massive franchise. They are building a Korean barbecue place in City Walk. Do you know how brilliant that is? Do you know how much money that thing is going to make?
By far.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. I've been begging Disney to do that for years, and they refuse. All my special access, and they don't even listen to me, conductor. Can you believe that, dude?
It's hard to believe that, quite frankly. So that's what I mean. And then on top of that, like I said, you have a 5-story hotel being built, 500 rooms. And on top of that, that's going to just revitalize the nighttime entertainment that we once lost in City Walk and bring it back to life. And it's going to start to say possibly put, downtown Disney to shame or close to it, because people have been crying for nighttime entertainment to come back to City Walk for a long time. So imagine that.
Yeah, we'll see. But we have one more video we're going to react to. This is in regards to the Zootopia 2 box office, right? Which is absolutely crushing it. We're going to play a pretty short clip here, but we're going to talk about it and how it might impact the parks, which I think this was the perfect kind of video to segue and transition off of Bricky's video, because these two things might be connected. So here we go. This is courtesy of the official Good Morning America YouTube channel.
Pop news with Will Gans.
Yeah.
Where's your outfit, Will?
Listen, I am leaving the joy and the information to Becky. If we're in the business of delivering joy and information, Becky delivers every single time. I'm so impressed by everything that she does. All right, but for now, I'm going to make like Judy and hop to it, because we begin Pop News this morning with Judy Hopps, Nick Wilde, and Zootopia 2 slithering its way into history, the animated sequel nearly a decade in the making, dominating the box office this holiday weekend. Zootopia 2 topping $81 million globally, and that's just in its first 24 hours that it's been in theaters, marking the biggest launch total for any day at movie theaters in China in over 4 years. And Wicked for Good, of course, seeing...
Okay, so crazy numbers. Now, here's the thing. To kind of put a little meat on them bones, this is courtesy of vulture.com. Zootopia 2, big box office roar. It says Zootopia is now the second best Black Friday box office ever, with 38.5 million earned on November 28th. 38 million on one day. That's crazy. It's second only to last year's Moana 2, which earned 54.3 million, giving Disney's next Thanksgiving weekend premiere Hext a lot to live up to next year. Now, here's the thing. It says overall, Zootopia 2 is doing better than expected at the box office, and it was expected to do pretty well. It's estimated to earn between 152 and 156 million over the 5-day Thanksgiving holiday weekend, and about 98 million for the 3-day. That's a big opening weekend for this movie. This is, the first Zootopia back in 2016 made over $1 billion worldwide. This is probably going to do that. I think the latest numbers, I believe it made $100 million in China, which is unheard of. That was just in China. So globally, this is performing so far pretty well too. This is interesting, conductor, because, you know what? I forgot to share my screen. I'm reading this thing and I'm not even share. Okay, there we go. Well, there we go. But anyway, you guys got the gist of it. But here's the thing. This is crazy because Disney obviously looks at box office, right? I mean, they do. We just talked about DCA and the potential with Zootopia. We have a Clawhauser, the cheetah cop meet and greet now in DCA. We've had Judy and Nick at DCA for years. Very successful meet and greet. Obviously, they're beta testing this franchise in DCA. They could have took Hollywoodland and just turned that whole thing into Zootopia, which would have been the easy kind of plug and play sort of thing. But they didn't.
You see, this is the funny part, though. All three of those characters, where are they at?
DCA.
No. But more than that, where were their meet and greets at?
Oh, Nick and Judy is in that San Francisco bathroom row, right?
Yeah, but that's basically in a nutshell. That's the Hollywood backlot. And where was Officer Clawhausen and the Hollywood backlot? So that right there is like almost a tell. It's like, okay, you have two characters from Zootopia that have been there for years, like you said, that's technically in the Hollywood backlot area doing meet and greets. Then all of a sudden you have this Officer Clawhausen that's been a big part of the Zootopia franchise now with the second movie. And where was he meet and greeting the other day? In the Hollywood backlot, not on Hollywood Boulevard, but in the backlot. That's why I keep hinting at. It's like, because Disney said Avatar is going in that footprint. What if we're completely wrong and they just can't officially admit it? And
Yeah,
they don't want to admit it.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. The only concern I would have with that,
sure,
is that we're losing Monsters Inc. early 2026 or sometime in 2026. They made that official announcement.
Oh, sure.
If they change their mind with Pandora, we're going to have a vacant area for a while because they haven't even said Zootopia is coming yet. So that would be my big concern, you know?
It's very true. It's very true. But here's the thing, though, because David from Fresh Baked hinted at, okay, get this, though. He hinted at, from what he's hearing from sources inside, that they have delayed or possibly delayed Monsters Inc. from closing until May of 2026. And think about this. What's 3 months after that? D23. What would be the perfect time to announce Zootopia is coming to DCA? August.
Well, there you go. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll move things around. Maybe they will give us, because this movie is doing really, really, really good in the box office. This is going to be another $1 billion hit for Disney. This franchise is an absolute moneymaker. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they will kind of maybe they will play with the chessboard, so to speak, and say, you know what, we'll put Pandora in the Simba lot and we'll put Zootopia here. We'll see. If they do that, that's a bold move. And you're right. We have D23 coming up at the end of summer, early fall. Maybe they'll make some changes. You know, I just hope if they do that, I'm fine with that. Zootopia works really well as a Hollywoodland replacement. I just hope if they do that, they speed Zootopia along and we don't have an empty back area for 4 years or something stupid.
And quite frankly, I think that will happen, because if you honestly think about it, if Disney is smart, if I was Josh tomorrow, technically the new CEO, this is how I would play this game. I would say right from the get, you know, finish the Avengers attractions, but at the same time, simultaneously tear everything out of the Hollywood backlot. And then at the same time as well, start coroning off an area in the Simba parking lot and start grading it for Avatar to come. Because we've already hinted at that they're going to build another pedestrian bridge across, was it Disney Way? I think it's Disney Way. I could be wrong. But the road leading behind where Coco's going.
Oh, Disneyland Drive.
Disneyland Drive.
Yeah.
So they're going to build another pedestrian bridge to go over Disneyland Drive to get to the Simba parking lot. So it wouldn't be out of the box, you know, crazy idea to move Avatar in that section, build Zootopia in the Hollywood backlot, which, like you said, it fits that Hollywood theme. They wouldn't have to destroy Hollywood Boulevard. They wouldn't have to do anything to it. And then they can incorporate the Hyperion and put a new show in there. Right. It would be absolutely genius. Because you already have the infrastructure there.
Yeah, you could reskin those buildings.
Yes.
You could reskin those buildings to be more Zootopia-tized, right? You could have the Zootopia theater at the end of the road. You could have a Zootopia stage show or whatever in that theater. It works. The monorail then makes sense because there was a monorail in the first movie. I don't know. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I mean, and it's going through an urban area, so it makes the monorail makes perfect sense in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that idea. If they can speed up Zootopia being put in Hollywoodland, and we can put Avatar in Symbolot, I'd be okay with that. We'll see if they do that. I don't know. I mean, this movie is going to make a lot of money, so there's going to be definitely interest on Disney's part to put something in. I think something Zootopia attraction wise will end up at the Disneyland Resort, probably DCA. It's a matter of time, really. I think.
Well, see, if you look at the Zootopia land in Shanghai Disney, when you watch videos on it, and you have the animatronics kind of out of their window on the facades, interacting with guests and whatnot. When you look at it, it kind of reminds me of Springfield at Universal Hollywood. You got facade built on facade, built on facade, built on facade. Well, what is Zootopia and Shanghai Disney? The exact same thing. So, in all retrospect, having that massive footprint, which is the bus load and unload area, we can have a phenomenal Zootopia land.
Oh, yeah.
And not destroy the Hollywood Boulevard, which would still allow that kinetic energy that Bricky loves so much and others to enjoy the Hollywood Boulevard landscape. And on top of that, allowed parades to come up and down the street. And who knows if they make the Zootopia land big enough? I'm not saying they would, but this is just a speculation of mine. They could bring back the red car trolley, and it would incorporate and make sense.
You could put cheetah print on it or something. You could because it works in that Zootopia world. It's a very metropolitan area now. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And Zootopia is very much a DCA kind of franchise. DCA has that sort of like that real world edge to it a little bit that Disneyland really doesn't have. And Zootopia is a movie where it has that kind of real world edge to it, which is why I think we see Zootopia always going into DCA when they do these meet and greets and stuff. Because like you said, I mean, it's very much a property that fits perfectly in DCA. So we'll see, Conductor. This is very interesting. This box office, better than expected, is really gonna shake up C-suite, in Burbank. I mean, they're gonna look at this and go, well, you know what? This is big. Now, here's the thing. Avatar will also be big. I mean, Fire and Ash is going to be huge. Fire and Ash will likely be another $2 billion movie, but that's not confirmed yet. It hasn't been out yet. So we don't know. We know already, though, Zootopia is crushing it at the box office. But
well, see, let me ask you this on Avatar, and maybe I'm just kind of thinking on my own mindset and not just thinking about reality. But what if Disney put out a survey? Like they like to do when you visit the park, that usually you get the survey either the day of, the day after, or a couple days after. What if they send a survey out saying, we still plan on building Avatar, but would you like to see it in the Hollywood backlot, or would you like to see it somewhere else, and have people give their opinion and see what people come up with? So you can have the Hollywood backlot, you can have the Simba parking lot, you can have, and I know this is even more wild than anything, you could put in the Spaghetti Bowl area of Tomorrowland adjacent from Fantasyland. Give people an option and see what people come up with. They actually might be surprised and say, whoa, we didn't realize people don't want it in the Hollywood backlot. People want it in the Simba parking lot. Right. And who knows, they might actually listen and say, you know what? We have Zootopia that's making bank for us. Why not put Zootopia in the Hollywood backlot and not have to destroy the Hollywood the Hollywood Boulevard and PhilharMagic and everything, even across the street with Off the Page, the animation building, the Hyperion building. They can keep all of it, save abundance, and I mean abundance of money, and save themselves in the long run and still get a win out of it.
Yeah. Now we'll see. You're right. And it's a D23 year. So
Yep.
let's see what they do. Maybe Disney, hey, they've surprised us before, you know. We'll see what they do. Now there is a wild card in all of this, which is James Cameron. I'm sure he
Yes.
has a big say in what goes on too. So we'll have to wait and kind of see. But I want to thank Hey Bricky and I want to thank Good Morning America for these two great videos. A lot of cool stuff. A very DCA centric show, but DCA is where all the action's at right now. So it kind of makes sense that we're going to be talking probably more about DCA for the next few years, just because that's where all the new stuff is going right now. But Conductor, I want to thank you, brother, for joining me today. If you can remind everybody where they can find you on social media so they can subscribe to you and support you and show some love.
Absolutely. And I want to give a big, and I mean a big shout out to Orange Go 55 for always being such an amazing host and kind of just diving deep with me on these theme park discussions. It's so much fun to get into this by far. But like OG55 says, I'm Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can also find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1. And you can find me every Sunday, including tomorrow, at 5 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a Conductor Sunday live stream where we talk everything from Disney to Universal, the speculations about the parks, and like we did in tonight's video, breaking everything down with future projects and rumors on, you know, future IPs that can come to the parks as well. And we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with his wild, wicked hair. That should be patented one of these years, and I'm hoping that it happens.
That'll happen. It's gonna happen.
I 100% believe in. I cannot wait for the day my party hat will be on when it does. But we also have other amazing guests that come on the show, and tomorrow we have a very special guest that's never been on the show. These two gentlemen share the same love and passion that me and Orange Go 55 share, breaking down the theme parks. Don't really go on rides. They love walking around the park, feeling the vibes, and breaking everything down. I cannot wait to have them tomorrow night. And their channel name is Leaving Today Podcast. Go check them out.
There it is, Leaving Today Podcast. Conductor, I want to thank you for hanging out today, friend. I do appreciate you, man. And everybody, make sure you subscribe to Theme Park Conductor. You know, he is a friend of the channel, and he does a lot of great work. So make sure you subscribe. He's got his Conductor live shows all the time, and we're on there all the time here at OG55. So make sure you show some love. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG50.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.